Hi guys, Jamie from Comic Curators here. This is going to be the final video in the life and times of Jason Todd. This one will focus on his development in the New 52/Rebirth universe. I'm going to take you through his time with the Outlaws, with Bizarro and Artemis, how he got back to the Bat family and was accepted again, and how it inevitably fell apart and he got back to killing. So, let's get to it. In 2011, DC rebooted the universe with the New 52 series. A lot of characters got changed and Jason was one of them. He got his own series called Red Hood and the Outlaws, written by Scott Lobdell. They put him with Roy Harper and Starfire, and this was seen as a return to the Jason that a lot of people liked. He had the original Red Hood biker-like costume, he got his black hair back. This period of Jason's life was very interesting because he was around other people. Roy and Starfire became his closest friends and they helped him move past his grudge with Batman. During Red Hood and the Outlaws, Lobdell expanded on Jason's background by giving him this mystical origin with this group called the All-Cased. They were an offshoot of the League of Assassins and Jason learned from them for several years. During this time, he learned how to control these weapons called the All Blades that came from a part of his soul. He was given the All Blades to help him hunt down this group of supernatural creatures called the Untitled who had killed the All-Cased. This was seen as a big departure from Jason's original incarnation because he was seen as a street-level anti-hero who only dealt with Gotham's criminals. Through Red Hood and the Outlaws, he became like a globe-trotting anti-hero who dealt with threats around the world, and Starfire and Roy helped him along the way. Red Hood and the Outlaws was built up around their friendship and how Jason could ultimately overcome his anger and become a more rounded person. Red Hood's time with the Outlaws led him back to the Batman family. A big story around this point was Death of the Family, where Joker came after the entire Batman cast of characters. At the end of the story, Jason's face was burnt with acid by Joker. Bruce helps Jason recover and they have a big emotional moment together where they forgive each other for Jason going off Batman's path. Bruce forgives him as well, and this is where Jason comes back into the Batman family as a fully accepted member. In 2016, DC decided to reboot their universe again with the Rebirth line. This involved them bringing some of the pre-New 52 stories back. A major story for the DC Rebirth line was a new version of the Outlaws. Roy and Starfire weren't with Jason anymore, instead he was joined by Artemis and Bizarro. And the whole idea behind this was a dark trinity. The original trinity is Batman, Wonder Woman and Superman, so Red Hood, Artemis and Bizarro were meant to be the darker incarnation of them. Within the early stories of this new version of the Outlaws, there were a lot of callbacks to Jason's original history. An example of this was where he met up with Ma Gunn, who looked after him during his early days as Robin. Lobdell, who wrote the original Red Hood series, wrote this one as well, and he retconned it to the point where Ma Gunn became Jason's grandmother. Jason's complexity was revealed through his relationship with Artemis and Bizarro. In particular, I found his relationship with Bizarro to be very poignant because Jason got a chance to show his compassion. In the story, Bizarro is presented as a child. He doesn't really know much about his own existence, so Jason becomes like his parent to a certain point. He buys Bizarro this Superman doll called Pup Pup, and Bizarro absolutely loves it. He also chooses not to kill him, even though he knows Bizarro is potentially dangerous. The point where Jason realises he doesn't want to kill his friend is where Bizarro acknowledges his own existence, and this leads to them developing a stronger bond. Jason's relationship with Artemis is very entertaining because they're very snarky to each other, and there's a lot of tension between them, and as they go along they learn to respect each other and become friends. In Artemis, I think Jason discovered a kindred spirit. They both went through similar things of feeling out of place within their respective communities. They both wanted to save the world in their own way and learn how to deal with their own lives. And that makes them so awesome together as a pairing, whether it's friends or something more. Over the course of the Outlaws story, Jason has promised Batman he wouldn't kill anymore. He wants to be seen as a better person in Bruce's eyes. And for a long time that works until he realises Penguin had something to do with putting his father Willis Todd behind bars. Jason and Willis never got on, but Jason still felt honour bound to honour his dad's memory. He goes on an absolute vendetta against Penguin, shutting down his organisations. Red Hood tracks Penguin down to the docks and reveals himself on camera to the world. He's very angry with Penguin and goes so far as to shoot him in the head, and Batman sees it. In Batman's eyes, this is seen as an utter betrayal. One, because Jason revealed his own identity in front of everybody, which compromises Batman's identity potentially. And second, because he broke the one rule again. This leads to an absolute battle between Jason and Bruce, where Batman easily defeats him because Jason doesn't want to put up a fight. After the fight, Batman banishes Red Hood from Gotham. He loses Bizarro and Artemis through a different story. On his own, Jason decides to strike out with a new costume and a return to his old ways as a more brutal anti-hero. In my opinion, Jason choosing to kill again was always the natural progression of his character. He's always existed outside Batman's code of ethics. He's had his own way of dealing with problems, and it's come full circle. He was accepted, he learned and grew, but he will always go back to what he knows best, and that's what makes him such an interesting character.
Thank you for watching the video, guys. Through this video, I hope that you've seen how Jason has developed and what makes him such an interesting character. He is a survivor, he's learned to deal with things in his own way, and that's what makes him such a compelling person. If you like this video, please subscribe and share it around, and look out for future videos.